I have, I have more than 5,000 gladiators who always ask, Prabh, I'm joining the, one new organization, but, I would like to know from zero, how to start. It's always create a doubt. It's always a doubt regarding, what is the strategy, what is the parameters, what is the first step. So in today's session, because I have explored multiple videos on YouTube and all that, because I myself was interested in this coffee shots to be made. So I could not find any kind of a document or a process which helped me to understand how to start a cybersecurity strategy in the organization. What is the first step and what is the last step? It will be a high level session. Okay, but good news is that in future I'm coming with the custom program which is called as a cybersecurity leadership program, where we're going to discuss about the documentation, step-by-step process, checklist, and today what we are covering, it's a very high-level glimpse of that particular session. And I'm really thankful that in short span of time, you guys have joined this session, and I'm very excited to invite my co-partner. He's a CTO of our new initiative, which is called Aspirant, and he carrying a 15 plus years of experience of a CISO advisory. And getting him on Friday because he working from UAE, Mr. Suraj. It was a pain for me and it is a pain for him, but I thought let's have a Friday with some kind of awareness. And thank you, Suraj, for taking out your time and for this particular session. And I'm sure my subscribers, my viewers are my family. This is my second family, and I'm proud to say that. Okay, I'm proud to say that my mom, my wife, and after that, who is next after God is my family of LinkedIn or my gladiators. And if I do anything for them, and if from that particular things, if they're getting a 1% of benefit, it is a big thing for me. So I'm very excited, Suraj, and thanks for taking out your time for this particular session. Suraj, I'm making you a presenter. Suraj, am I audible to you?
Yeah, hi, Prabh. I hope I'm audible to you as well.
Yes, you're audible to me. And thank you, Suraj, for your time. Suraj is basically a security advisory for one of the company, but now he basically joined us as a CTO. Before associating with Aspirant, he was handling multiple financial projects, and he was also a Cisco advisory for one of the biggest firms in Middle East, especially in UAE and Qatar and Saudi. So it is a pleasure for me to have him on this session. Suraj, over to you. And this is our second family. Be open. They know me. Okay, we are just a family. Okay, so I want you to give all kinds of points to my family. Okay, to this family. Okay, and I'm sure after gaining some knowledge from this family members will distribute this information to their peers. Correct me if I'm wrong, team. Is it true or not? This is what we're going to do, right? I can see some familiar names like Parul is there, Debian is there, Balaji is there, Utkal da mera chota bhai. So I love you, man. You joined this session. If it's the same Utkal, I believe, for my gladiator, Santosh is there. So I'm very excited for this. Suraj, over to you.
I'm so
So Suraj,
thankful to have this wonderful session with you, Prabh,
mhm,
and also to share the same table with you here and to
great.
meet as much as team members also as your family, as it is our family as well. So yeah, let's make it as a lovely session. Okay, like we'll try to give as much as guidance to the people as also we'll share the knowledge that we have gained over the past few years.
So Suraj,
So
before going to start today's session, I would like to know about Suraj and what is the agenda of this session, and why people should listen to you for next 1 hour.
that's a lovely question. So basically, I'm into the cybersecurity domain for the last 15 years. So I've been
Hmm.
started my career from a security analyst role and also covered up till the governance part.
Hmm.
So this lifestyle where I have been with the security, I have seen many challenges in the industry as well as many places where it is still the people doesn't know where actually it been originated from or whose
Hmm.
ideas was
Hmm.
that. So
Hmm.
some of
Hmm.
that one of the major one was like to have cybersecurity strategy documentations. Like
mm,
people still search for it. When I have seen
mm,
that people join the companies and start searching for where is my old cybersecurity strategy, where the company was, where is the company driving towards it. Okay, so there are a
mm,
lot of gaps that is available over here. So I
mm,
thought like, okay, so once we are giving a training sessions or awareness sessions, let make it as like to see how people can start from their basics. Like they,
okay,
even if there are companies who just do their operations, day-to-day operations, without knowing where they are heading to. So if
okay,
they have a benchmark baseline to define, and they have these sort of strategical approvals from their management, from their higher managements, it can correlate with their KPIs, their performance evaluation. There is a benchmark which creates based on this category, it's based on this strategy. So it's
mm.
always good to have, the low level understanding about it. So basically, as we say that we will be trying to see about more about a practical oriented of or practical methodology of how to do it from the day one, rather than
So
rather than just studying the theoretical part of it.
So team, let me remind you again, the agenda of today's session, okay, is to understand if you join any company as a information security consultant. I repeat, as a information security consultant, and company has gave you a task how to build a cyber security strategy for the organization. What is the first step and what is the last step? But again, it will be very high level overview, because if you go by that process, it will take 32 hours to 40 hours to prepare the things. But at least in this session, we try to give you a very high level overview, and based on that particular information, and I'm sure you can basically enhance your things, and you can able to expand your knowledge on that particular area. And I'm sure most of the people have this doubt, right? What is the first step? What is the first thing we have to do if we join as a company? To whom we need to approach? How many of you have this doubt in your in your mind? You can just drop your message in a chat box. And to maintain the you can say quality of the sessions, I request you to post your questions in the chat box only. I request you to post your question in the chat box. If time permit, definitely we're going to answer all the questions. Over to you, Suraj.
Thank you, Prabh. Thanks a lot. And also thanks everyone for joining for this webinar. So I would like to start with the basic understanding here, that is how to do a step-by-step approach on to start your cybersecurity strategy for your organization. So instead of covering from the complete technical part of it, I will say that we have to understand about why do we need this at the stage one. As I was telling earlier, that you have joined the companies, and you are actually, maybe you have joined in mid of big project, or you have been joined basically in an engagement of the business, or higher changes are going on in the organization. So during this time, once you join up the company, you will be lost on where actually you are being heading to, and what exactly is the organization's goal to achieve. So how a security is going to play its vital role. So basically, as most of them will be CISOs and most of them are security professionals here, everybody is thinking about, to their roles and responsibilities on their organization. Not only from security operations side, also from on the business side, how the business is looking at the security operations. We will be actually looking into that level here. And for this webinar, the agendas will be, let me just go through it. We'll be looking at to identify your security requirements, assess your current states, building your roadmaps, and planning your communication.
So Suraj, we cannot see your agenda. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
I'm sorry. So let's start with the step one here, which is identifying your security requirements. Okay. So first thing that will come across our mind is that, okay, I'm joining an organization. I need to identify what actually the business is looking at for the security requirements. The first thing that we can do is that let us try to understand the business first. So how do you think that, okay, you are going to understand the business? So it's not like, you just have to do any QA sessions, or you are limited to only QA sessions. No, you just have to think in such a way that you are gonna start take grab a cup of coffee and walk into your say, chief information officer's room and just say hi and ask about like what are we up to, what are we going through. Then we will think about how do we look into their organization's business goals. Now let's see what is the technology that we are driving to. We might be enhancing our businesses from different verticals, maybe from one industry to another. There may be acquisitions going on. You will be thinking about the directions what the business is going through, what is the history of them, where the business was coming from and where it is heading towards, what are the major changes that happened in my infrastructures, what are the audits, like there is some audits happens to it, what are the audit results, do you have a hands on top of it, what is the normal, like saying there might be internal audit teams, or there may be external audit context on your organizations. If you are able to have a hands on your audit reports, you'll be able to understand how that audit findings were there, what are the risk that is associated with the organizations, what will be your risk appetite for it, and then what the major concerns is about your business objectives. So what exactly the business objectives are. Do contact a small session with your executive directors, like your executive level members. Do have a chat with them, identified about what exactly your higher management is expecting from it. This is actually what in a nutshell that you should be looking at. The goal of this particular session is to identify your target state, what actually your management have in their vision about the security of the organization. So as a security professional, we should have a a focus or a benchmark to where actually I should start measuring from. So this understanding of your business will help us to identify our target state, where actually we are going to head it. So as I said that we will be thinking about a practical way of it. Like this is a complete theoretical way, as I was saying, but let us think about in a practical scenario, how do we going to start doing it? So I have made some tables for you guys for the practical approach. So let's think about mapping the requirements. Like, yeah, we have listened to those requirements, what they want to say. We have listened to their business objectives. We have listened to the risk that is associated. So we have done our basic understanding of the business. The second thing that we should come across is that to document it. Let's make it as an Excel sheet or a workbook or your own methodologies. Like you might have your own tools for that, but let's make it as a document where you will start mapping your business goals. What actually the business was looking into, what was their major agenda. I have like listed out some examples here for you to to fill out like how it should be filled. Okay, so the first area is where the business goals heads to. Okay, what exactly the business is trying to understand.
So Suraj, I
Then
want
what?
to interrupt here. I'm really sorry for
Sure,
that.
sure, no
So
worries,
you
no
mean
worries.
to say that the as a CISO, when I join any company, okay, so as an information security consultant, if I join any company, my first thing is that I need to have a meeting with the business owners. I need to have a meeting with the stakeholders, and then I need to have a meeting with them to understand the business requirements end to end, okay, and all the
To an
legal
extent,
regulatory.
to an extent I will say you might not able to reach till the business owner level. Okay,
Hmm,
start with
hmm.
your executive level, start with your executive level or your
So
higher
top
management.
bottom exercise, top bottom exercise, you
Exactly,
mean to say.
exactly, you are up to it, top to bottom exercise.
Here I
Then
would like to
also
add this point. Yeah, so guys, those who are basically part of the CISSP, CISM, now I'm sure it makes sense, right? Why we used to say in CISSP, CISM, top-down approach is effective. Team, you getting the point? Why we used to say that top-down process is effective? Because if we start from executive, they will give us a direction to whom we need to approach. Yeah, so we'll have a meeting with the executive first, from where we get understanding of an organization structures, and then from there, we basically go ahead and we try to speak to the business owners, and from there we get a visibility about the business details, and that information we are capturing in this particular stage, right, Suraj?
exactly, exactly.
Okay,
So
thank
this
you.
actually helps to drill down to their task and other subsidiaries which can be used to measure the achievement of the business goals. So basically, even it is a business requirement or a business goals, so there will be factors required to evaluate that. Like say, okay, I have a business objective of, say example, employee skill and awareness. This is like my organization state that I need to have my employees completely aware about the security or securities are happening, whatever happening, or their own skill set. Maybe it is on their own domain. But again, how do I measure it? There should be a measurement point on it. It will be not only security, it will be operational, it will be functional, it will be in different categories as well. So we should be able to identify what are those indicators that I can flag it to identify and measure these values. From there, we will create another section which is going to map my security role. Like as a security professional, our goal is to see that how can I contribute my security part for the organization's objectives. So here I say that, okay, I can create my security awareness program. So it can be an annual security awareness program, or it can be an, engagements, training sessions, LMS programs, posters and banners, security month. So I can create multiple type of such things and make it combined together as a security awareness program, and then enable it for the organization's business goal achievement. So I have like, there are like multiple business goals as a big or as the organization is bigger, they will have their own different multiple business goals. We have to see that what are the primary of it and what are the secondaries. We cannot focus everything on a single goal, as you know that there are limitations on resources, budgets, time frames, dependencies. All these things are matters. So here what we do is that we will categorize is that primary or secondary objective which needed to be defined. Then what is the next point is that every organization should, or every requirement while you're gathering, you should start identifying your scope. Like you cannot go out of the boundaries. So you should define and draw your boundaries. So how do I think about where should I start putting my boundaries? You can put it on your organizational level, you can do it in the physical level and in your IT level. Like when I say about organization level, there are companies which have, like say, there are group of companies which have different subsidiaries under them. There are companies which have multiple branches. There are companies which have different geographical locations. So you have to see about what actually the business goal is setting to. Okay, I have to do my employee awareness on global level of all my branches across the globe, or is it or limiting to only my regional based, like say it's only on India, or it's only on UAE, or only on the particular business what I'm doing to. So I should be able to create my organizational scope as the first phase. Then I should be pull out all the out of scopes domain as well. At the same way, we should be thinking on creating a physical location scope as well as in the IT scope. So in IT, you can say that, okay, there are services which are in-house as well as services that you have been subscribed as SaaS-based models as well. So those things might not be under the scope, or maybe for different, like as we go into the, it's all again related to your business and security requirements, so goal actually. So these documents basically defines you how to map it on your business and security mapping. Then we will think about doing a risk assessment. So when you're doing a risk assessment on your organization, you have to categorize those risks. As you know that the risk mainly can be categorized as the threats, the assets and the vulnerabilities. So we can say that, okay, there are threats that you see across your organization. So whatever you see in this particular table here is basically a big questionnaire where I have only taken a single question from each of these domains to show how actually it's needed to be drafted. Like say I should draft a risk category, then I should understand about what is the risk factor that is associated with this category. We can have hundreds of questions on each of these categories. Like it depends on what type of compliance you are into, what type of governance that you are actually following into, what of standards and certifications you are into it. Based on that, you can actually get as much as questions, you can ask as much as questions and identify what are the risk points that you are having it. And as a responses, so once you have this response, you might not get the response from one single team. Again, this exercise is also handled in the same way. You should be able to have your sessions with your colleagues. You should be able to talk with the business owners or the project or the responsible parties associated for this. And then you have to think about is the historical incidents. Every organization will have you can check up the historical incidents to identify the weak points which was open and which was already mitigated. So you can see about how actually vulnerable was that, what was the impact for it, and do a basic benchmarking of your risk associated with it. Once you have these risks identified, then you will should understand about, okay, how much my company is ready to accept to it. What is my company's risk tolerance level? So here also you have a table that you can define. You can create in a normal Excel sheet as well. Like you can create it in a 3 different category as it's functional, informational, or recoverable impact. What is the impact model which is happening on it? So, and what happens on the impact? Like, okay, if it is going to be an acceptable level, or it is something beyond my control. So these factors or these Excel sheets can help you to identify exactly on what is my tolerance level that my management is looking at it. So again, as an information security, you don't own the accepted tolerance level. The tolerance level should be approved or accepted by the business. Again, the tolerance level is accepted by the business.
Suraj, any example you would like to map about the risk tolerance so it is easy for the audience to understand?
Let's say a breach of a confidential, like let's say an example here itself. Like I have an example of an informational impact which I have mentioned here, which says that
Hmm,
I have a medium impact over here. The
hmm,
medium impact scenario that is given is that if I lose my pen drive, okay, USB, which is having marketing materials or a normal materials, okay, or emails which doesn't have much value on it. I have copied some
hmm,
normal files or something. I lost it, okay, and it doesn't have the context is here. It have non-sensitive information, okay. So it happens in an year, once in a year. So I don't like, for me, it's like, it's okay, it's fine. I don't think that much of a high challenge here. But again, if I see a risk stating in another way, like say, if it was a sensitive information, okay, my
hmm.
first question comes at how my sensitive information came to a USB, okay. So I have to
Okay.
think that in such a way that, okay, I should stop the phase one, that is the source of this particular incident, so that I can understand about, okay, fine, I will put a control over your USBs, or data should be classified and data should be controlled so that nobody can take my sensitive information. Again, the classification level plays the major role over here as well. So once my sensitive information is perfectly secured and it cannot be taken, I don't have to think about the occurrence of such a similar incident, because I'm
Okay.
closing this incident from the scratch, from the roots itself. So here, as you said, as I was saying it, so in this scenario, when the impact is low, as a management, as a business, I don't have that much of a challenge with it. So I am accepting a high tolerance level on it.
Okay.
Does it make sense? Does it clear?
Yes, that's
Anything
true.
which I can add to it?
That's true. See, the thing team, we have a three important parameters in the risk. The first is basically called as a risk appetite, the level of risk the organization is willing to take to pursue any particular project. That is called as a risk tolerance. Then risk appetite, the level of risk the organization is willing to take for a particular project. Where the risk tolerance is a deviation from the appetite, and the tolerance and the capacity is basically called as a maximum risk the organization can take to pursue the mission. So let's take an example, like your salary is $10,000. So this is your risk capacity. This is a maximum investment you can do in the market. Is it clear? The risk capacity is your salary. $10,000 it is your salary, which is you withdrawing every month. Then you have a risk appetite is like a $2,000 or $3,000 that you're ready to invest in the mutual funds from your $10,000 salary every month. So that is your risk appetite for the mutual funds. One month you find some good mutual funds and you want to increase your budget. So you have increased the budget from that 2,000 or 3,000 to 3,500. That is your tolerance level. So this tolerance level is basically having a deviations which need to be approved from the business owners. Team clear? Can we say risk capacity, appetite, tolerance, all that? Exactly. Everything is decided by the business. Again, it is under the review from the CISO or the CRO kind of a profile who basically oversight that, Sumit. Okay? Because by end
Yeah,
of the
to
day,
add to
ultimately,
add to it,
yeah.
Prabha, I would like to add to it that, it depends from organization to organization.
Hmm,
The risk acceptance levels. Some will
hmm,
be risk takers and some will be risk avoiders.
hmm,
So
hmm,
the business takes that accountability completely. Like they are okay with those high risk and they are okay with the financial measurement here.
hmm. Okay. Thank you. So if
Okay,
team, if you have any question, please start dropping in the chat box. So, if you get a time, we'll definitely answer those questions parallelly. Go ahead, Suraj.
thank you. So with these calculations in place, we will be able to identify our target state as either it's an ad hoc, it's a developing, or it's a defined, or either we are managed or we are optimized onto the security levels. So we will be able to identify our target state by looking at the business objective, how the security is actually mapping to it, how do we look at our scope. We are able to identify the existing risk. We are able to get the risk appetite or risk tolerance of our organization. Then we move to the step 2 of it, where we will be now looking at our current state. So what are we going to do is that, let's say where we start from. So we will be start from the audit findings. We can say we can start from the pen testing. We can look at the
Very
security
important.
incidents
It's
that
a very important step, team. Please be careful for this step. Very important step.
risk registers that we have already. We have the compliance reports. So these documents are the one which we need to take in our hand when we are thinking about moving to the stage 2. So once we have this information, what actually we have a lot of things here, right? Because when you have your vulnerability pen testing report, security incidents, risk register, you have a completely IT inventory with you. You have a network diagram and network details. You have your people process, every individual things that comes and goes around in the organization technically is in your hand. So basically you are actually starting from a good start. So what is the second stage? So it's like, how do we evaluate? How can we evaluate our current state? It basically we use as a questionnaires and workbooks for that. So it's like, you are not going to do any technical measures to evaluate. You're going to do with the informations available. You are going to start building and generating a questionnaire and then answering it based on that, based on your findings, having your evidences based on that, and then you will be able to identify your current state. And it's not a single step process. You should involve your security team. You should involve your subject matter experts from different teams as well, like your IT, legal, facilities, audit, risk management, your IT operations, your network side. You have the third parties, or you have people who are working from outsource, or you have remote teams. You have to involve all the subject matter experts to get your answers for these questionnaires, and not only answers, for the evidences as well. So once you move with it, so what actually we are trying to get is the current state. So what is the practical approach for it? Again, like how do we set up for that? So we have to think about all the domains that can be covered. We can cover on the technical part as well as the governance part. So in the governance part, so basically I have created here a table over here with all the sectors of the IT, where you can have multiple questions taken from them. Like say you have information security program, you have say network security, you have endpoint security. You can ask like, okay, whether I have a NAC in place, whether I have, like say for endpoint, you can say that whether you have an antivirus enabled on it, whether you have disk encryption, you have say when you have malicious code protection, say you have a application development team, are you doing a code review? So like multiple questions can be asked on this questionnaire to make a self-evaluation of your current state. So once you move to that state, once you have created with that state, you will start creating an Excel sheet like this. So this is a sample of one of the entry, how it should look. So in this Excel, what you will put it, you will put the domain where actually, okay, I'm here, put an example of a security policy as a domain. Yeah, it's a part of my governance requirement, like say I should have a security policy based on so on standards. So my control states that, okay, security policies are distributed to all necessary employees and communicated efficiently. Yes, this is my control that I should be in place. So what is my identification? Like where am I looking into? So my target maturity is what my management says, or my expectation is. Like I should be able to have a level where I should be managing the entire security policy distribution to the right employees, maybe with a technology or whatever. So what is my current stage? I am in a developing me. Why am I in developing me? Maybe there is a security program in place. There is an acquisition of a technology in place. So what is my plan? What is my action that I should do from a developing stage to the managed state? So I will say that, okay, I will be start developing, an LMS system for you guys. So I will say that, okay, I need to deploy an LMS or a learning management system and also a policy acknowledgement. So I will be able to start distributing the policies to each simple user, say acceptable usage and IT security policy. Every employees of the organization should read the acceptable policy as well as the IT security policy. And they should not just read, we should, as a security team, we should take the acknowledgement of it, because tomorrow when you see a violation of the policy, then you should be able to tell that, okay, this security policy is already be communicated, you are accepted it, you have gone through it, and you have done your approvals. So there should be a system based on that. So this particular activity or this particular engagement of onboarding this particular process can be either a task or I can convert it as an initiative. So here how I should say as a task or an initiative. So tasks are like few of my activities which I can do, so that I can cover up, I can create or correlate multiple tasks based on that and create as an initiative for it. So I have to add these informations, or I have to capture this information on all these security domains. So it's not only just to stay only on a single domain. You have to go through each of these domains and start covering up with all your answers that you can get from your area or from all the team members that you can get. So
Suraj, is
again,
it
the
possible for
participants.
you to zoom it, this diagram, so people can have a better visibility?
Sure.
This diagram, yeah. Yeah, that's okay. Just zoom it.
I'm not able to zoom. Sorry for that. But
Okay, no
we can
issues.
send this presentation across as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Team, you can zoom from your go-to meeting, and I'm sure you get a better visibility about here the domain coverage, okay, where you have a governance and we have a management part, okay. So your security aspects, when you're talking about the assessment, we have to cover both direction. The primary involvement need to be there in the governance side, and then you need to be involved in the management sides. Until unless we don't have a visibility in governance, we cannot drive into the management. Is it clear, team? And the third part here you can see on the operational level, which is starting on the security detections, incident recovery and measurement. Over to you, Suraj.
Thank you. So once we have this information, when you complete this Excel sheet, you will be able to, like, there is Excel workbooks. Actually, you'll be able to download it from our website sooner or later. So we will be uploading those type of templates also for their support as well. So uh, next stage is to build the roadmaps based on this. So you have the information, like where to, which is your endpoint. You got the endpoint. So like, which is the management expectation of it. Now you know where you stand. Okay. Now what you have to do is that now you need to start by identifying how should I do it? How should I deliver it? Or how should I get into that point where it become unacceptable for the management, or management goals based on the security is covered. So my starting point is the where I last stopped, which is my gap analysis report. So from this gap analysis, or from the self-evaluation report, what I will do is that I will start identifying the initiatives and tasks which I need to take it forward. I need to see about the cost benefit analysis. I need to see how can I prioritize my initiatives. So based on this, I will be able to create a complete roadmap for the business. So here also you have to add one more team on this level, which is the project management team, because many of these initiatives that you come across with, which requires to create a new project for it. So you need to draft a new project for it. A project management team should be introduced to get their complete project management approach to be enabled with the organizational practices. So this is how actually you will be involving the team members on it. And what is actually the goal of this particular engagement. You will be developing an action plan basically, and this action plan is something which is basically helping you to achieve your cyber security strategy goals. So how do we do it in a practical way? So initially what we do is that those things that we identified as the tasks and initiatives, we are going to list it down. We are going to list down as separate entries, I can say. We will be separately saying that these are my initiatives that I need to develop. These are my tasks that I need to add it. I can even combine tasks and create initiatives as well. Once we create a task ordering, or like say a any task or an initiative, we should be associate. We should be taking as an ownership for it. We should be assigning an honor for it. Like say you will have an annual review of your policies. So every year we will have a review, or maybe every 2 years we will have a review of your existing policies. Maybe you will be having, a new control in place, or enhancing your existing solutions capabilities. So these things will be your task that is being associated with it. Whereas you're going to deploy a new technology on place, like you're gonna add a NAC in place. So it will be like a new initiative that will be added. So based on this, you will be creating a prioritization based on, like, another factor comes here is that the cost analysis here. Like, what is my estimated cost as well as the effort that I need to have on this particular project or initiative? Is it budgeted already for my security? Do you have a security budget? That's a big question actually. There is a big question, open question is that, do we have a security budget? How do we approach for a security budget? Many people say that, okay, there is no budget for it. Like IT have the budget, but security is not associated for that budget on it. So these sort of things, while you are doing your steering committee meetings, you should be able to show what is your requirement, because those requirements should be, again, with the study of the business objective, you're going to map it and then create a business steering committee presentation or steering committee meeting. And in those meetings, you will be addressing your requirements of, why you need to have a new initiative on the place, and why you need is X amount of budget on it. So this budgeting will help us taking this accountability, taking this, a prioritization in place. Like, you can prioritize which I can put more effort into. And then once you have these prioritizations in place, you will move to the next stage, which is you will create your chart on planning it. Like, you will start the planning on it. Once you have your budget, once you have your activities initiated, once you have your project planning ready, you will be start putting it on your action plan. Then you will be creating up your action plans on when actually you're going to start this project and when you're going to end this project. So these will be the one which will help you to take this business cybersecurity strategy documentations with more fruitful information about how are you going to address those security findings or security recommendations that you want to add to the business objective. So this, once you cover this one, you move to the last stage, which is called as the communication and execution. So what actually we have now, we have our basic business security goals. You have understood about your risk tolerance of your organization. You have the understanding about your current and target state. You have an understanding about your roadmap, like how do you plan for this, plan for the deployment. You have a complete plan for it. So once you have all this information, you're gonna start creating a charter. So either a charter or creating a cyber security documentation itself. But in this phase, you will have the scope, like who all will be involved is that your IT security team, your leadership, and the business will be only involved. So we need to make sure that the business is involved for it. The business is the one who is going to take the approval or take the action on the cyber security strategies that we are going to develop on it. So why once the practical approach is to create a complete cybersecurity strategy document. So now you understand that. I guess you understood that from where did we started to create a cybersecurity strategy document, which is like from the cup of a coffee from the CISO or the Chief Information Office table. We are able to started getting information or collected information about your business, the goals, and then from all the way down, you went through the technicals, you went through the identified the current challenges of the organization, you went through the place where you have to identify which needed to be added and which needed to be not to be planned, or then you have went through the commercials of it, whether you have the budgeting or whether you have the appropriated support from the management on it, on those projects and initiatives, and then you are going to draft it across. So while you're drafting a document, you should be able to mimic all these information that you have collected in a single document with your security vision and mission. What is your security scope? You remember that we have mentioned about the scope, that a scoping table which says whether how I should be able to put my in scope and out of scope. You should be able to add these details in granular such that, okay, the business will be able to understand, okay, exactly where you are going these things to be applied on. Then what are the strategical security and policy objectives? What are you trying to achieve with this? Then the roles and response, who are the people who are going to execute it? The RASI of who is going to be the responsible for individual actions. The governance and compliance requirements, yes, you are going to map it with so on compliance, say ISO 27001. You're going to map it with the PCI DSS, because the business is going to start acquiring a financial institution maybe 2 years from now, or they are in the plan for doing an acquisition for that. You oversee for it. You don't have to, like, this, your security strategy document should be oversee what actually management is also having it. That's why we have the vision to be added over here. Yeah, we should be aligning with them. Like, as you grow, it's not that you come across with a new thickness in the market and then the security will start working on it. No, it should not be like that. The security strategy document should oversee for 2 years and 5 years planning on it. Then you can think about the security tolerance level that have been accepted. Yes, what is my tolerance level? What is my management expecting from me from adding into it? Then we can say about the cyber security implementation plans. As we say that, okay, I have an implementation plan set up ready with me. This is my business objective that I'm gonna cover with my security programs or security plans, and this is my way how am I going to do my implementations. You can have a performance plan of your last year performance. One, if you are doing this again, this security strategy document is a continual exercise. You should be evaluating these documents periodically as well. So here you will do a performance planning of your last year engagement. What did I promise last year? Where am I standing on that? So these informations will be captured, and then we will take an official approval for these documents. This is how normally a cyber security strategy document will look like, or will have to have these informations. This is how you are going to generate, and based on this you can create your presentations, or the business language of presentations and things. And this is how normally you represent yourself with a cyber security strategy to your organization. Like, Prabh, anything that I can add more value here for the strategy documentations, I'll be happy to.
That is really great. And um, so
We will also give the option of having the sample documents if they would like to to download or some things. We'll be able to send those
definitely,
or make the provisions for that as well.
sure, definitely. We will basically in our when we upload this video on our YouTube channel, we will give the reference link for downloads. There is one question raised from one of the student or user is how to create a policy. So do you have any reference of creating a policies and all that?
Yes. Like, when you are creating a policy, so it's like, okay, first of all, you will have somewhere to start benchmarking it. Like, say, you will be going to refer with either your standard, or if you are a group of companies, you will be working with on a framework. Okay, so what the framework or the policy or the standards looking for? Like, say, okay, I need to have a policy for access control policy. Okay, I'm going to create an access control policy. What my policy states, so I have to go back to my standards and start taking the reference points of it. Like, okay, what is my access control? What is my first thing is to identify my scope. So in the policy statements, you will first open is that, okay, you have to define what is my scope to it. Let me see if I can give a small glance to it as well. You are
So
looking
team
for a,
meantime, if you have
practical way
a
to
team,
practical
yeah,
way to
if
do
possible,
it, or
definitely, I believe this is a common question. Mostly I used to receive on my group also standards, policies and everything. So team meantime, if you have any questions, you can uh, drop your queries in the chat box.
I'm sorry. Okay.
How do you create technology roadmap? Let's say for a specific technology IAM is a question relevant to the presentation. If not, then please ignore. So Shahid, the same thing, the template, the parameter should be same only. It is all about when you're talking about your business validations and all that, right? Now let me give an example here. Just give me a second. Now the way the Suraj has presented, we can definitely go for the CIS control as a strategy for fast ROI. Let me show you an example. Suraj, if you allow me, can I share my screen?
Please, 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 please.
Yeah. Hmm. So I'm sure you can able to see my screen here, team. So if you're talking about how activities are basically drives in the organization, this is the steps we have. So first, as Suraj has talked about the building a strategy and all that. So here we are following the things. So we are starting with the asset management. Then we try to understand the business environment. Then we build the governance. Then we do the risk assessment. Then we create a risk management strategy. And if we have any kind of a supply chain, we'll follow this process. Then when it comes to protect stage, we talk about the access control. We build the awareness trainings. We have a data securities. Okay, then we have a maintenance. And when we're going for any kind of a controls, we have a anomalies, security continuous monitoring, and finally we have a recover. So it's up to you. You want to follow ISO 27001 or you have to follow NIST. And if you go in detail, each and every business process, example, we're talking about the asset management here. Okay, in this asset management process, we're talking about the data, personal device, system, facilities need to be there. And subcategories are physical device systems within the organization are invent right. And for that, we can refer these controls. So Iman, the way you said about using a CIS control and the way you're talking about using the any kind of a validation. So it's up to you. You can use NIST, you can use ISO, you can use CIS controls for your requirement. Okay. Over to you, Suraj.
Can you keep that screen shared, just because I can help to
Yeah.
find one of the questions here. That is, as I was talking about creating of a policies, let's take the first point here, which says, no, I mean the Excel sheet. Yeah. The physical device and systems within the organizations and inventory, which is like you should have a proper inventory for all the systems in place, right? So here, what states is that ISO point A81181.2. These are the 2 points or 2 control objectives that has been highlighted here, that which states that I should be having a inventory system for all my assets. Again, the control states it, like the ISO states that yes, you need to have it. But second, how did the business or the company will get into that level of having an ISO system in, or sorry, having an inventory system in place? You will be drafting a policy for your asset inventory system. Okay, for your asset management policy, you will be having a reference to this particular point called as A8.1.1 and A8.1.2 suggests that I should be having an inventory system for all my assets in the place. At the same time, the ISO states that whenever you are taking an asset offsite, you should be able to track about it. When an asset come inside, you should be able to track about it. When an asset is handed over to anyone, like say responsibility is given, you should be able to track it. So all these reference points based on this ISO actually gives us the baseline. So this is actually the baseline to create a policy. So as the question was about how to create a policy. So first thing is what I will draft is about purpose and objective of that particular policy. What am I trying to achieve with that policy? Then I will write about the scope. What is it applies for? Is it applies only for my internal employees? Is it apply for the whole organization? Does it covers my physical, like say, when I say about physical scope, I will say that does it covers only my office, or does it my covers the whole geographical offices across the place? So I will create my scope on it. Then I will see, most of the policies are technically, it have the technical abbreviations frequently. So you will start putting the terms and definition space where all those points and terms that you use in the policies will be defined for the management or people to read and understand on it. Then you will create your policy statement, like in detailed statement, which says what exactly my policy should do, or what exactly the policy should follow to act on it. Say I open up a password policy. So if I have a password policy, my password policy statement should actually look at, okay, what is my password strength? What is my iterations I should not use it? How is my service account and how is my system account or a normal user account's password should look like? When should I do the password reset? How do I do the forced password reset? Then like all of this, like my mobile devices, if it is for a mobile device, MDM devices, even my password policy can contribute to the MDM login page as well. Login, like say I have my MDM applied one, say I have a technology on what is it, VMware or mobile line or something. I am putting an MDM or an BYOD on that. And then here also I can push that my password policy is that is every devices or every BYOD devices should have a 6-digit alphanumeric password or a 6-digit password for my container. I can even scope it to my container itself, application container. So like that, after this enforcement, I will have my compliance. Okay, fine. How do I measure it? Again, every policies will have a compliance part. Like, okay, what if you don't follow? What should I do? And what should I do to get it compliant? And the last will be the references. Like, okay, who is the accountability? Who take the, from where did I get it? So I will be able to point out all these, what do you say, all these ISO points, also all these ISO control objectives and controls, like to be put in a single table stating that, okay, this is my reference from or for from where I created this particular policy. That's how we
Suraj,
drafted.
This
That's,
conference will
I
now
hope
be
that
recorded.
that's the
so
questions
team, I have
were
not shared anything. Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
okay. Fine. So is there any questions that I can help with? Yeah, please. Go ahead.
So team, if you have any question, can you please drop your question in
Is
the
it
chat
document open
box?
source? Santosh, I see that there was a question saying that is this document open source? Like which
Yeah,
document
yeah,
are you
it's
referring
open
to here?
source.
Like
Yeah, it's open source.
he's referring to
Um,
the
and
policy?
I and I got it, Suraj. Thank you.
Ah, okay, cool. Thank you.
Shit, yeah, I was planning to have some business from that. Sure.
We are
Pekka is my
gladiators. We
student.
can find anything,
Pekka is my
Prabh.
student. Trained gladiator. Okay. So team, I'm sure you had a great time with us, right? How much necessary? Iman, I'm planning to cover in our ISCCP session, okay, how we do automations. On automation, we always prefer. Nowadays, CIS control with the benchmark baseline, we're doing automations. So automation is demand everywhere. I think now, Suraj, with the help of Excel and with the help of open source scripts, we can automate all the CIS controls in the organizations,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
just we feed data.
yes.
Suraj, is it possible for you to switch on the cam or be comfortable with that? Or
Yeah, it's fine.
I
I
cannot see
think,
you. Yeah, I cannot see you, Suraj. Sorry.
okay, that's again.
Yeah.
Okay.
So team, this is Suraj, and as promised, stay in touch. We are planning for the next session on practical of ISO 27001. Okay, how to conduct end-to-end ISO 27001 zero to hero. And I will not reveal the name of the instructor, but he is well known in the market. And like the way Suraj used to drive the sessions on consulting and CISO advisory. And good news is that the same course we are planning to create in a very detailed manner of 40 hours, which is called as a Cybersecurity Leadership Program. So it is a program in which we're going to cover completely from zero to hero. Like what is the first step, how to create a policy, how to create a cybersecurity strategy, and in a more economical manner. Okay, so it is easy for anyone to join, and once you basically go through this, I'm sure it can basically prepare you for become an information security consultant. Because for the consultant, how to create a policy, how to draft policy, how to build policy, okay, what is the metrics, how to set the KPI, KRI, everything will be part of this program. Okay, it will be a
Even
40.
we are actually planning to add the questionnaires which is required to be asked for the CISO interviews or when you are interviewing with your leadership. What type of
Exactly.
questions are relevant, most relevant to be asked? Basically, which these the questions which give you a potential value which can feed you in any of your Excel sheets that you can make some benchmarking for it. So because you cannot go across with random questions. So that type of granularity we are trying to add to those courses and also as a workbook and a toolkit. So we are preparing a toolkit for that. It's like to build a complete security strategy toolkit, and we'll see for that.
Thanks, Suraj. I'm sure,
Thanks.
guys, you find this session useful, and we'll have more tech talks like that. And yeah, Suraj, is it possible to share your aspirant's ID in the chat box so everyone get access to their, because everyone looking for your email ID?
Sure, I can share my email ID over here. So in case of any questions or anything related to the uh, support of documentations, or to go down to the the level where you can create from a document A to Z, you can definitely reach me anytime.
You can
Yeah,
just type your email ID. Yeah, thank you. So
that's
Praveen,
it.
for GRC profile, what is the suitable ISO, ISACA? See, Praveen, again, GRC is a complete separate thing. Yes, CISSP, some kind of a profiles can help you to build the baseline. Okay, but again, first evaluate your need. Okay, but my suggestion is that go with the CISA, then CRISC. CISSP is overall enterprise security code, so that is the thing. And we'll share this PPT in the description when we upload the video on YouTube. Okay, so description box, all the major material, whatever is required will be available. As I said, this year, my plan is basically need to increase more security consultant, okay, with limited investment, more knowledge. That is the ultimate goal. And good news is that I'm also coming with some Hindi sessions, very basic Hindi sessions on information security to reach maximum information security in India itself. Okay, so this is all from our side, team. Stay in touch, and thank you for showing your presence in this session. We're looking forward for more sessions like that, but stay tuned with the Prabh Tech Talk. We'll have a next session on ISO 27001 with the known guy in the market whose case studies are known in the market. So trust me, he's going to rock, and Suraj is coming with another session on data privacy. So we'll
Thank
have
you.
more session like that. Okay.
Thank you so much, guys.
Yeah, we don't
Thanks,
have
bro.
any certificate requirement for this. We're just sharing this for knowledge purpose because this is just a tech talks. Bye team. Cheers. Good day.